So I grew up in a mill town. We had an old mill, and I had nothing but a supported community of a bunch of loggers. And my best friend's parents worked in a mill, and it was a woman, and she just inspired me to know that I could do anything I want to do with myself. I don't have to fall into the mundane woman track. So that's where I began my love for the forest. Grew up in that small town, and whenever I was stressed, I would go out on hikes, and it always grounded me. And that started at a very young age. I did not come home until dark, just like every other person in my generation. Don't come home until dark was enjoyable. And when I was at home, I was playing with the bugs in the woodpile, or chasing snakes under the logs, or picking up the pine cones for my mom. It was quite the best childhood anybody could have. I was a very happy child. I always looked forward to going on adventures with my parents up at Valsette's, going into the old growth, going to the coast, and hanging out in the forest under the covered trees when the wind would blow. And today, my favorite hikes are in the rain. It just brings out all the green and the great smells, and it refreshes everything around me. And so it's very exciting. Every adventure I go out into the forest, and I love it. It's my favorite. Going hiking. What brought me to the best job in the world is working for a really great company called Hampton Lumber. And before that, I was just in accounting, working at a bank, and I was pretty content. But I reached out of my comfort zone and wanted to get back into my passion of helping support the forest industry. And so I found this job at Hampton, and they adopted me and taught me so much more about managed forests. And now my passion is to spread the knowledge to our young children and get more involved in the community and bringing them into managed forest, because managed forests are forever. But when I worked at the bank, there was a man that bought land to log, and he was a logger. 5, 6 years later, as I'm working for Hampton, I found out Hampton wouldn't buy his logs because he didn't respect the logging. He didn't stay within the means of the rivers. He didn't protect and leave healthy habitat areas. He didn't have the surveyors. He was just there for the money. And so there's a whole black and white side of logging. And I did not know that until I started working for Hampton, and knowing that, it's not about money. It's about protecting the land. And yes, we need to make money at the same time, but the Oregon forests are huge. There is so many forests in Oregon that are unmanaged, owned by people that don't know better, and don't know who they're selling it to have it logged. So the education in our kids, to me, is so important, because I didn't have that. I just learned that as an adult. And I think teaching the kids the whole process of the protection and being able to log it at the same time is really important. They're beautiful old growth forests, but with the forest fires being prevalent and approaching, we need to manage those forests, and we can't cut down those big trees. They're huge. They won't fit in our mills. They need to just be managed in a way that they're not going to catch more forests on fire. It needs to be cleaned up. Working in the city at a corporate office, it's a great job, a great company, but going on a hike, in the busyness, going out there, it just resets my soul every time. brings me back to reality. All right, as a woman, to know the woods sounds kind of scary, but knowing where I am gives me the confidence to spread good joy and good words and about the forest, so our kids are not afraid to go on hikes, afraid to get lost. Knowing north, south, east, and west is not always taught in person. You look at a map, but being out in the woods on your feet, knowing the woods and knowing where you're going and how to navigate is probably my most valuable part of hiking. I don't turn around. I keep going and I strive through. And knowing that to help me stay grounded pushes me through other difficult parts of my life, not just the forest, but managing the family or the finances. Always going forward and knowing how to navigate is key. I did one time get lost in the woods. I did panic. I was snowboarding and went down the wrong ravine. And to get out, I either went down and hiked 20 miles off course back to civilization, or I took a deep breath, figured out how to hike up and get out of the ravine. Was scarier because it was more difficult, but I did it and I made it home before dark. That was very exhilarating, but knowing that I could conquer those challenges helps me conquer the small challenges through life. It's an adventure every time.